Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. I'm excited to talk about this because my Twitter has been blowing up. Like, it's still kind of getting residuals from this, and I'm kind of over it. Basketball season's over, but I have to address the Iowa fans and their ability to bring in the community notes. But we're going to talk about Caitlin Clark. We're going to talk about the Final Four. We're also going to talk about UConn as well in the men's. Not as exciting, Purdue, but there is a Minnesota tie-in with the Purdue team as well. We'll talk about all that and much more coming up on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Ron Johnson Show. For the new people joining the Ron Johnson Show, we're here every week. Tuesday, Wednesday, we also have the basketball party. We got the football party on Locked On Sports Minnesota, but the Ron Johnson Show specifically, we come to you once a week. We try to bring you all the best news. For those that are just joining the show because you're mad at me because of my Caitlin Clark Iowa tweet, I want to thank you. Hopefully you guys stick around. I am not an Iowa hater. I am I'm a supporter of all athletics, but when Iowa plays Minnesota, I hate them. But we got to get into this show. We're going to talk about Iowa basketball, UConn basketball, South Carolina, and Purdue for sure. But we also are in the second segment. We're going to talk a little football because there's some things happening in the draft that I was hoping wouldn't happen. I kind of brought this news to the world early. I kind of said it earlier during the Gophers football season. And now everybody is starting to see what I saw, or people are trying to play games with kwesi-adofo-mensah and the Minnesota Vikings. But again, I'm Ron Johnson. This is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. We are on YouTube 24/7 anytime you want to get us. We also are on Amazon Fire and Roku. But we want to thank you guys. And this episode is brought to you by Gametime. Just download the Gametime app. Any app market, go to the Gametime app and search Gametime. Once you download the app, it's easy. Create an account, use an email address. That email address will get your tickets. From there, you are set. The first time you use the app, though, use code LOCKED ON for $20 off your first purchase. Very simple. Like I've told you guys before, I've used it multiple times now, and it's very easy. I love it. It's safe, secure. You don't have to worry about scammers or fake tickets or delayed ticket lines when you can't find your tickets, because it's right there in your email. Also, they're right there on the app. Well, as I bring my producer to the show who joins me every week, Sam Ekstrom, he's also on the basketball party with me as well. The football party, he does that every day. And he's also 4 times a week. And he's also on the Friday roundtable, which I'm pretty sure this Friday at the roundtable, we have a lot to cover. NCAA, Caitlin Clark. We're gonna make sure we really put this to bed. And so I got to start off, Sam. First of all, what were your thoughts on the Final Four, men's and women's?
Women's was by far more compelling. I got caught in a travel day. I took some vacation, so I missed the men's Final Four games. Didn't see a second of those. It seems like I didn't miss a tremendous amount.
Yeah.
They both kind of got away from the underdogs. The 1 seeds advanced, and I did watch the entire championship. First half, pretty compelling. Second half, UConn flexes its muscles.
Yep.
I'm still thinking about the UConn Iowa game.
Yeah.
In the women's Final Four. I mean, I was up and down out of my seat. Had my head in my hands when they called the offensive foul. It was unbelievable how that concluded. And then the championship lived up to the billing too. Just fantastic. And the TV ratings set, massive all-time highs, and for good reason. The stars were out. High-level basketball, and what a great 4 days to go. The women's Final Four, men's Final Four, women's championship, men's championship. From Friday to Monday, I had something every day that I was really looking forward to.
Yeah, no, it was a fun weekend. I watched them all. Not going to lie, you're right. The women's was way more compelling, especially like UConn, Iowa. That was a great matchup. See Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark. The ending didn't end the way we wanted it to. I'm going to discuss that in a little bit. And then you had South Carolina They just really showed the world they deserved everything that came to them. Their NC State game, not as like it was what we knew it was going to be, which was an absolute blowout. NC State, their opportunity to try to get to the championship for the men, DJ Burns. I mean, he did what he could do. He did what he can do. He's also saying, I'm not playing football, so stop asking me. I'm not going to do it. Like Nick Saban said, you can stop asking me. He's not playing football. At least he's saying that right now. And then you look at Zach Edey in the championship game versus UConn. And UConn just, again, they flexed their muscle. Edey, he showed for 7'4", even though he's not Wemby, he's not Jokic, because he's not going to hit it from, he's not going to shoot from deep, but he is a true old school big man. Like, he can hit the free throw line jumper. It's not great. He can shoot free throws, don't make them, so you can't hack a Shaq, even though Shaq told us stop using that term, come up with a new term. He said, find somebody else that's big that can't shoot free throws. Like, hack somebody else. Like, stop saying that. He got mad on the telecast when they said that. But Zach Edey can make the free throws. But also, like, his footwork, his up and under, like, it was crazy. And so then I go to the refs. So on the men's side, Bobby Hurley's brother, Dan Hurley, made some comments about the refs. One, he pushed one of his players. I don't know if you saw that, Sam. He pushed one of his players onto the court, which is a tech. They didn't give him a tech. They just said turnover, ball goes this way. And then he's yelling like, I didn't effing touch him. I didn't touch. And then they go to the replays like, oh, okay, my bad. I did touch him. I didn't notice that. But he commented that, like, we're just not going to call 3 seconds. Like, you're just going to let Zach Edey camp out in the lane and we're not going to call. Okay, we're not calling 3 seconds. So that was his gripe to the refs. When you look at the other side of this, now, again, Sam, my tweet, and I want to make sure we get this out into the Twitter sphere. So this is my statement to the tweet, because we're going to make sure we post this. We're going to make sure we put this with the tweet. It's not hard to find because it's still getting numbers. So the original video, this is what's so funny to me. So Andrew Perloff, which I think he used to be on the Dan Patrick Show, one of our NBC partners, it's his video. So Andrew Perloff, is he still on the show, or is he the one that left?
It's a good question.
One of them left. I think he's gone because it says the Maggie and Perloff show, 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern on SiriusXM radio. So which SiriusXM is a partner as well, people. So if you have the SiriusXM app, please make sure you download Locked On Sports Minnesota. You can get all of our shows. But on the SiriusXM, he has a show, Maggie and Perloff show, 6 to 10 a.m. Now, in his tweet, now he has more followers than me. I have like 25,000. He has 130,000. And for some reason, his video and tweet don't get the hate that mine did. So it has nothing to do with like followers or your reach. For some reason, mine just reached the angers of people. And so, Sam, his tweet says, was this an offensive foul? Maybe because he's asking a question. He said, was this an offensive foul by the officials or ESPN execs who won Iowa in the title game? Now, there are no community notes with this. There's just comments of people. He's got 630,000 views. He's got a lot of bookmarks too. So I learned, because I didn't know this. I was trying to figure out, because I was always looking at people's like videos or tweets, and they would have a tweet of somebody else's video. And I'm like, how are they doing that? Well, then I figured this out like a couple months ago. That's how old I am, Sam. I don't think to ask people. So like a couple months, maybe a year ago, I figured it out. But I figured out, like, all you do is hold down the video and then it'll ask you, do you want to repost it? Which I did, Sam. And my repost just says, same exact video, nothing different. Like, I didn't take time to go through Twitter. I literally saw the first video right after it happened, and it was Andrew Perloff's. So I just used it. I could have used my own video because I did have one myself, but I used his. No way, this is what my tweet says, Sam, no way you can call this a moving screen. So that's just my opinion. I'm saying there's no way you could call this a moving screen in this moment. In the moment in the game, last play of the game, Paige Beckers might have a chance to take one last shot. You don't call that offensive foul because of the fact of you've let so many Caitlin Clark screens go where the girls are still running into girls and moving. Another coach said this, Gino Ariema. He said you could call moving screens in girls basketball every time if you want. Pretty much. He said there's only a few times where the girls are really just standing still, but a lot of the times the girls are outside their frame and they're moving just a bit. He said you can call every time. I said UConn got screwed, which they did, but I said to get the narrative they wanted, which is basically what Andrew Perloff is saying. Is this what the execs wanted from ESPN? Because they wanted Caitlin Clark For South Carolina, it's a great headline. They don't want UConn versus South Carolina, which it still would have been a good game, but you don't get the Caitlin Clark effect. You don't get the commercials. You don't get the Nike. You don't get the State Farm. You don't get all that extras with Caitlin Clark, without Caitlin Clark. Sorry. So I said the narrative they wanted was Caitlin Clark versus South Carolina. That's it. Sam, this thing has done 5.2 million views. It has done over 9,000 comments. 25,000 people have expanded it and read all the comments. 27,000 plus, so almost 28,000 people, Sam, have visited my profile. One, because they're like, who is this Yahoo and why is his tweet blowing up? So 27,000 people, Sam, have clicked on my profile to see what was. Now I'm kind of annoyed because I should have at least 20,000 new followers, but no, y'all just clicked on my profile, then y'all commented, and y'all mad at me. Now, if they had read my bio that said something like, because a lot of people don't know, they see my picture and they see me standing in front of a football stadium with a suit on. So they're probably like, okay, this guy's maybe some kind of analyst. But if it had said like, oh, former college basketball player, maybe they would have changed their tune, but they are football player. Okay, let me kill this guy now. 102,000 engagements, meaning 102,000 people either commented, liked, shared, or commented on somebody else's tweet, or called me an idiot. 2 million unique views, which means they've either rewound it or they've tried to use it themselves, or they quote tweeted, they bookmarked it. I did not realize there was a unique view thing where they can show you how long people have viewed the video and done stuff to it. So this thing is absolutely nuts. So
wow.
I promised in the comments, because I said, hey, and I did make one comment because I'm like, I can't respond to 9,000 comments. Like, I don't know what the lady expected me to do, because I responded to some, and Sam, you saw that. But then people started to give me the oh, he's silent now. He's not saying that. Like, what? I'm not responding to 9,000 people. Like, there's no way I can comment on 9,000 comments. Like, I comment as much as I can, and then a lot of you are saying the same thing. And so I'm going to quote tweet this on top of my tweet. I'm going to put this in the comments. I'm going to make sure we get the link out there for the whole show. But we're going to get this clip out here. And here's my take on this. It's a moving screen. Yes, it's a moving screen. Why? Because her forward foot, the foot in front of the pick, so she's setting the pick, the side taking on the hit, her left leg is still. Her right leg is sliding. So the fact that I could see if her left leg was sliding and she's still sliding into the pick, she's stationary on the side in which she's taking contact, but her drag leg is late to get set. I get it. Also, if she were to leave it like wide, she's too wide. So now your pick is wide because your legs have to be within the frame of your shoulders. Within reason. Like you can't really stand exactly like your shoulder, but within reason. So yes. Is it a foul or moving pick? Yes, because she's moving that back foot. Her upper body is kind of still. People are like, she gave her the chicken wing. She didn't. Her arm is still. And then when she gets hit, she moves it because she's running away from the girl. So her arm just like it's a natural motion to move it to run. She's not giving her the chicken wing. So I'm going to go there. Like, we can agree on the foul. I'm disagreeing on the chicken wing. That's a hit. And then your arm just comes out as you move. The second part of this is I get it. But in that moment, that's a horrible call. Like, I get it. By the letter of the law, it's right. It's right by the letter of the law. Like, if we go down to the law and it's right. But it's wrong. It's like somebody getting pulled over for doing 61 in a 60. You're wrong. The speed limit is 60. But you're doing 61 and you're speeding. I can pull you over and give you a ticket. Now, is it high? No. But it's still a ticket. You're supposed to do 60 or 59. That's what that felt like to me. That felt like a 61 in a 60 mile an hour zone, or a 35 or 36 in a 35 mile an hour zone, or a 21 in a 20 mile an hour school zone. That's what that feels like. It feels like tic-tac, ticky-tac, foul. It also feels like they weren't calling that all day. It also feels like we kind of know we want Iowa to win. I'm not saying they did it, but they're human. They love Caitlin Clark too. These refs for women's basketball got way more TV time than the men's refs. Like, they really enjoyed this season. The fight for South Carolina and LSU. Like, imagine all that TV time, and they got to explain the fight, and everybody's ejected. Like, this was the dream season for them. But I digress with this, Sam. To the Iowa people, you are petty. Like, the fact that you community noted it as if like I really am trying to claim something and get something from it. Like I see people that say like, oh yeah, this cop, he arrested me for this and da-da-da. And then somebody goes to community knows, no, actually the person had marijuana. That's why they got pulled over. Like this is not that. Everybody sees the video. It's my opinion, but y'all want a community note it? Get a life. Y'all are bored, but I appreciate you because you guys took it viral. Everybody's talking about it. Like the LA Times had the video. Somebody used another article from the New York Post and posted it to my tweet. Like I appreciate it. But at the end of the day, I wasn't doing it like in the moment. I wasn't doing it for any reason. For I thought like I'm a Paige Beckers fan. For the people saying it's about race, stop that. This is not about race. This is Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark. And for those that don't know, because I saw somebody else try to post that, Paige Beckers is not black. I don't know why people thought she was mixed. Some people thought that she's not mixed. She's white. I know her dad and I know her mom. They are both white. Now, her stepmom was black, but that's not her birth mom, in which people have seen her with her stepmom. So maybe people assume that was her mom. That's not her mom. She's white. So I'm like going for two white basketball players. I don't know why, Sam, people were trying to throw race into this. Like, oh, you're race baiting. What? No, I am not. Now, the fact that Iowa's team, you might want to say, is majority white and South Carolina's team is majority black, that's not on me. That's on how Iowa recruits. That's on how South Carolina recruits. That is not on me. So I don't know why because I tweeted this, it's about, I was saying I wanted Paige Beckers, a white person, to get the last shot, to be able to, if she misses it, she misses it. And then we say, man, Paige almost had it. If she makes it, pandemonium. And there's still time left. Maybe Caitlin Clark hits another ridiculous three or shot or jumper or something. Or they do a Christian Leitner throw down the length of the court. Caitlin Clark catches it. She turns, she shoots, she scores, and everybody goes crazy. Like we were robbed of that type of ending.
Yes,
because of the refs. And so that's where I leave it with that for the fans. I'm going to bury this. I'm not responding anymore to people. I'm still getting tweets right now, Sam. Like people are still laughing at the community notes because now the community notes has been noticed by everybody. So now that's becoming the new joke. Oh, he got community noted. No. He's a liar. Da, da, da. Like,
all this fake news at right. Ron Johnson. Yeah.
It's literally my opinion. I wasn't saying it's fact. I can admit, yes, it's an offensive foul. If I were the defender running through and somebody moved like that, I'm probably going to say like, hey, you're still sliding into my way while I'm going. But here's another thing I want to break down, Sam, before we jump into the second segment quick. And I don't know if you noticed this, Sam, because in my I have a basketball mind. Did you see anything wrong with that final play by Geno Auriemma?
Probably not. I probably haven't broken it down like your great basketball mind has. Can I chime in quickly though on your point about the call?
Yeah,
and I'll kick it back to you. I'm just thinking about how some people are saying, "Well, you gotta call the foul. If it's a foul, it's a foul. Right. You gotta call." So let's think of the other sports, right? Referees in football, are they calling ticky-tack holding calls when Patrick Mahomes is driving to win the Super Bowl? Nope. Are basketball it's widely known that basketball officials let them play in the playoffs. Is a soccer official gonna whip out the red card and eject somebody easily in a big game? No, like there's subjective officiating across the board.
Right.
You don't call the small stuff in every sport. This is true. NHL playoffs, same way. Every sport has this. So to say that, well, you gotta call the foul because it's a foul. No, you don't. This is not how officiating works. It's human nature that it's widely understood. And Ron, if that had not been called, no one would have been rewinding it trying to claim foul.
No,
not at all.
Nobody would have even noticed that because it's the thing. If you think about the Steph, because somebody posted the Steph Curry play. I don't know if you remember this when the Cavs played the Warriors, and it was like one of the last plays was like a double pick on like this back when Tristan Thompson and LeBron James played for the Cavs. And it was like a triple pick almost to get Steph Curry the ball to get the last shot. Or not last shot, but one of the ending shots. David Lee sets the first pick, I think, on J.R. Smith. If I'm not, I might have the players wrong. It might be Kyrie. But he sets the pick on him first. Then he moves into the path of Tristan Thompson and literally like arm guard grabs both of them. It might even be the other one who's married to the one gal that's a singer rapper, Amon Shumpert. It might have been Amon Shumpert, but then he runs around like Draymond, and Draymond, as he's running, steps into his path, which is illegal. You can't step into his path. And nothing. The ref just threw that one hand up and then threw the other hand up when Steph Curry knocked it down. Like, it was just like, I didn't see any of that. That's a 3. I didn't see it. And so, again, people are posting all these different. They posted a couple of Caitlin Clark ones where number 45, because people were kind of, making comments about her too. But she came out and she said, now the funny thing though, in the championship, I don't know, I noticed this. I don't know if you noticed this, Sam, but Iowa was setting the bestest of screens and standing still in the championship game. And not only were they not working because they weren't moving, South Carolina was hoping they would step into them. I think they ended up getting one of the offensive fouls because of that. One of the girls ran into a girl. But when they stop, it's not getting set right. And the reason is because, and this is where I go back to the, like, what I thought should have happened. Here's where I put a little bit on Gino. Like, I can't put it on the girl from Iowa. Like, people that were giving her death threats for the ref giving her a call, you're idiots. But for the Iowa one, so Paige should have closed this gap between, because she didn't have the ball. So why are you so far away? Close the gap between you and the defender so that when the pick is set, you're running at your player, and she either has to trail you or she has to go around. By all that space, she can step up and step around the pick. If you run into her, and we've seen that where the player runs up into the player and then they break, like running a route. Like if you're like pulling guard or something, like, or if you're a tackle on the guard with the double team, I got him, you hit him, and then I'm gonna roll off of you. That's what it should have felt like. Paige should have ran up to her, made her stop her feet, and then as the pick was set, then run straight at your player, forcing her to decide if I want to trail. If she trails you, now when you catch it coming off the screen, you have space. Now she was going to get double. Like, if you watch the play develop, the other girl was going to step up anyway. Like, they were basically double teaming Paige. And that's why I don't like in that corner, because it's too congested. I thought what Gino Auriemma should have did. So that was the first mistake, the pick, too much space. He should have just given the ball to Paige at the top of the key, set a double screen on each side of her, and then let her pick the direction she wants to go based off the defender and how they're going to play it. Because if it's to the left and she goes left, they cannot double team her, because now the other girl can pick and roll if she goes to the right. And same thing, if they double team her that way, the other girl can pick and roll. Now, again, I was probably saying, like, I'd rather one of these bigs get the ball and have to take the shot over Paige Beckers. But if she is in the middle, she can decide which direction and let her cook. She doesn't need a three-pointer, so she can dribble, drive, step back, size, do, like, she has space. There was not enough space in that play he was trying to run. I didn't understand that call. And so I go with that too. I put a little bit of that on Gino Auriemma, but again, Iowa fans, I can say it's a foul. I'm done with this. It was a foul. I just didn't like when it was called in the moment. I thought they should have let it play out. Hail Marys. Somebody brought that about Hail Marys. You could probably throw a flag on every Hail Mary, because everybody's pushing and jostling for position. And when the ball comes, everybody jumps. It's a flag. You can't put your hands in the back of offensive guys, because they do it too. They put their hands in the back of the guy in front of them and they jump and push. Rudy against the Saints, it's a push off. I can admit that. He pushed off. He just didn't get the foul. It's a push off. Period. Like, we can do that. Like, there's probably the Minnesota Miracle. I guarantee if we were to watch it enough, we could find a flag on the offensive line somewhere in the Minneapolis Miracle. In the Patrick Mahomes last play of the game, I guarantee the Super Bowl, if we watch it enough, a receiver probably said an illegal pick. Somebody probably did something they shouldn't have done, but it wasn't called because they're letting the play just play out. And the 49ers weren't crying. They were more mad at the coin toss that their coach didn't know. Like, that's where we should have been with this. I did not like that call. I thought it was really cheap, but at the end of the day, they got what they wanted. They got a South Carolina Iowa championship, and they got to play their game. And I'm happy for Raven Johnson. One, she has that name. But two, same initials too, RJ. But I'm proud of her because she called this a revenge season. She could have come into that game and felt like, I'm going to shoot a bunch of threes because Caitlin Clark waved me off years ago. She didn't. She came into that game and she said, you know what? Or it wasn't years ago, it was a year ago. She could have come in and just said, I'm gonna shoot some threes, because they were leaving her open too, but it just wasn't like as negative this year. But they were leaving her open to shoot, and she was not shooting well. But she kept playing defense, and she had, I think, like 4 steals on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was like 2 for 11 when she was guarding her. So she did her job on the defensive end. It wasn't an offensive, because she's not an offensive juggernaut, which is why Caitlin Clark probably last year did that, because they know, go ahead, shoot it. Like we want you to shoot. She's the person to pick up basketball. We'd be like, oh, she's with us. Let her shoot. Because then you can guard the other people. And that's what Caitlin Clark was thinking. Like, you got Aaliyah Boston in the middle. I would rather you shoot the 3 than dump it down to Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston's going to kill us. You shoot your 3. And she couldn't shoot. Now, I will say her 3-point percentage this year, I looked it up, is way better. She was like 22% the year before. She's 36 now. So not great, but definitely better. Like, she's not Steph Curry and LeBron, even though 36 is actually pretty good. She's 1 for 3, so she's actually doing pretty good at 3. She got way better. But in that championship game, maybe it's the nerves. Maybe she wanted it too much. Just wasn't there. But I hope we put the dead horse to bed. I hope we're done with this Iowa basketball, because basketball season's over. College basketball, at least. It's time to move on to the Timberwolves playoffs. It's time to move on to the draft for the Vikings. We can put college basketball to rest. Because I do have a question. We're going to talk about this on Friday. We're doing this at the Tony Dungy event. I'm speaking at the Tony Dungy event. And this is one of the questions, because it's a men's event. And so we don't all want it to be serious. Like, we have some fun. And so one of the questions is Steph Curry, Caitlin Clark right now, if you could get floor seats to watch one of them play, which one would you choose? And when I thought about it, I'm like, man, that's actually a tough one, but I do have an answer. But I'm going to save that for Friday. We're going to save that for Friday. Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark's been playing for the Indiana Fever. So you could take it that way. Like, would you want floor seats to the Indiana Fever game versus the Lynx? Would you want Curry versus Curry versus Timberwolves? Of course you want the Timberwolves. But Curry, versus I don't know who sucks, the Pistons. So Curry versus the Pistons. Would you want floor seats to that? Or would you rather see Caitlin Clark, Iowa, like an Iowa game, floor seats with State Farm dude, Travis Scott, the rapper, is going to be, which one would you rather have? And so we'll talk about that on Friday and kind of get our thoughts on where the scope of basketball is right now with Caitlin Clark and Steph Curry. Because Anthony Edwards, that's an easy one. I was going to say Anthony Edwards and Caitlin Clark, but everybody's going to want to see Anthony Edwards. I mean, let's be real. He is great, but Caitlin Clark's good too. But Anthony Edwards is a show waiting to happen. Just score 50 in front of 50. Come on now. But I'm Ron Johnson and Sam Ekstrom. We got one quick segment coming up. We're going to talk a little draft before we get out of here. No Daily 3 today. I do apologize. I know we had talked about having Bryant McKinney joining the show. Something happened with the recording of the interview, so we're going to try to get him back after the draft. But we got that coming up after a word from our sponsors.
Brought to you today by Gametime. Yes, Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which means getting tickets fast and easy. Now, the Twins right now are in a matinee against the Dodgers that started at 12:10. You could have gotten great deals on tickets up to 1:10 p.m., up to an hour after the game starts, doing it through an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. All-in pricing, toggling this feature shows the total up front, no surprise fees at checkout. Seat views, get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, and when you're buying at Target Field, boy, those views from the upper deck overlooking Target Center, the rest of downtown, how good is that? One of the most beautiful views of any seat in the Twin Cities. So download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
All right, Sam, we're going to talk about the draft. I talked about this earlier, and so I'm gonna bring it up again, and we know it's going to happen before the draft, after the draft, depending on where he goes and how his career pans out. We'll see. But when Michigan played Minnesota, the Gophers, right away, I remember coming on the show, and I said, Kwesi-Adofo-Mensah was at the game. He was on the sideline. He was talking to Harbaugh, and everybody was joking oh, I wonder if he's talking to Harbaugh about, you could have been the Vikings coach or blah, blah, because I remember I tweeted that, and everybody's, that could have been the Vikings coach. It could have been Kwesi and Harbaugh and blah, blah, whatever. Mm-hmm. Harbaugh's with the Chargers. We'll see how he does there. But when you think about that, I said that. I said, man, JJ McCarthy, Vikings, like I could see that happening. I joked about like Kwesi over there watching him warm up, and he looked really good, 6'3". I mean, I even said when he came out the tunnel, like he's legit 6'3". Like, Kirk Cousins is 6'3", but Kirk Cousins doesn't stand like he's 6'3" sometimes. Like you look at Kirk and you're like, oh, is he 6'1", 6'2", and then you stand next to him, you're like, oh, you legit like 6'3", 6'4". That's how JJ McCarthy is though, but he also like truly stands up. Like he has that Peyton Manning. Like Peyton and Eli are similar, but Peyton stands like he's 6'5". Eli stands like he's 6'2". Like I don't ever, if you're like Eli has the slumped over shoulders and kind of the low, and maybe that's just from being beaten up as a brother, and you just are used to like don't. All right, I get it. I'm sorry. Don't touch me. Whereas Peyton's been the middle child because Cooper is the older brother, but Peyton's been that middle child where he had to kind of be the bad one. Like, and I don't think anybody ever noticed that. Like, that's why Peyton is probably such a jerk and has dry humor. It's because he's the middle child. Like, he's grown up having to like beat up the little one and defend himself from the big one and try to like stand out in a room full of people that like love the baby brother and relish the athletic older, because Cooper is way more athletic than Peyton. Relish the athletic older brother. And Peyton's like, all right, which is probably why he's a jerk. And so, and not in a bad way, Peyton's hilarious. But when you think about that, when you think about JJ McCarthy, I said, this is what I think of him body wise, athletically. He can run. Then people, as the season went on, did you see the Penn State game though? He didn't throw the ball. That's Harbaugh. That's Harbaugh. Well, that's not Harbaugh. That was his assistant coach, Sharon Moore, who now I think is the head coach, Sharon Moore. But he basically said, we're just going to run it down your throat. And you're not better than us. Like, could JJ McCarthy made more throws? Yeah. But when you watch the Roman Wilson highlights, the receiver that they said could be second, third round, JJ McCarthy's making all those throws. Like, he's putting it in the place where only Roman can get it sometimes. He's putting it on the dime, coming back to the sideline. And so now a lot of the top publications, and we'll have Jordan Reed on from ESPN, they're calling JJ McCarthy a top 5 quarterback now. Top 5 draft pick, actually. And top 5 quarterback, but top 5 pick because of where it could fall, which means if the Patriots actually do, because they're saying Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and now they're saying JJ McCarthy over Drake May. So does that mean Drake May could fall to the Vikings? Does that mean now the Vikings might jump to get a Drake May and not a JJ McCarthy? Was this all in Kwesi's plan? Make JJ McCarthy seem so valuable, get 2 first-round picks to make everybody want him, and then make them pick the wrong guy. Like, we know there's a little bit of, I mean, I've watched the movie Draft Day. I keep saying that over and over. If you have not watched the movie Draft Day, people, Sam, have you watched it?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm saying you're not a movie guy. But in the movie Draft Day, I mean, you remember they called the Jags. Remember the Browns called the Jags, and then that GM was like, what do you know? I don't know. What do you know? And then he hangs up. And then the guy's eating breakfast. He's like, what the hell does he know? And then he calls somebody else. And then all of a sudden, they don't pick that quarterback. They pick the linebacker, who was, I had the shirt on earlier, took it off, but I had the Black Panther shirt on. It was the guy that played Black Panther who passed away. He was the linebacker in the movie. They ended up drafting him, but he had gotten bad grades because of some stuff. I'm not going to tell you. Just watch the movie. And then the quarterback, who doesn't get taken first, drops. And he falls all the way down to the original team that wanted him in the spot that they kind of wanted him. And he traded all his stuff back. Like, basically, the Browns ended up trading all their guys and getting everything they wanted and not having to take a quarterback. I think they ended up taking the running back too. Didn't they take the linebacker and the running back? Like, they had 2 first-round picks and still didn't take the quarterback. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Well,
the running back,
they wheeled and dealed, and they got everybody they wanted in the end.
But they didn't get the quarterback though, right? They never picked him, or did they pick him late? I don't think they picked him.
I thought they got 3 first-round picks, but I could be. It could be.
Oh, did they end up getting the quarterback too? Maybe, I don't know. I can't remember if they end up getting the quarterback, but I do know. The only reason I remember the running back is because the running back was played by an actual NFL running back. I don't know if you remember who that was.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now.
It's the running back for the Texans. I can't remember his name. He went by Fino, is what his Twitter and name was. What was his name? He went by Fino though. Like, if I was typing Fino, I bet it pops up.
Well, Chadwick Boseman was definitely your.
Yep, that's the guy.
You mentioned.
Arian Foster. Arian Foster was the running. So he was the running back that got drafted. in that as well. And so Arian Foster, Fino is what he calls it. I don't know why. But he was the other running back drafted. Now I have to go back and watch it again if the quarterback was taken. But I just remember like it all worked out how everybody wanted it to, but he didn't jump to take the quarterback. He basically traded all the stuff away and then got it all back because everybody's like, what do you know? What do you know? What are you going to draft? Who are you going to draft? All right, give me your first round pick and give me this and give me all my picks back. I want all my picks back if you want your quarterback. No, I think he got all his picks back to get his because the other guy wanted his quarterback. And he's like, well, give me all my picks back and I'll give you this pick. Because he jumped in front of somebody else and then they wanted the court. So it was a game. But basically, my point is, maybe that's what Kwesi's doing. Kwesi has 2 picks now. Maybe everybody's thinking he wants JJ McCarthy and he really wants Drake May. I mean, his quarterback's coach is Josh McCown. I like JJ McCarthy. But if you can get Drake May, I mean, I think that's who he wants. He just thought he couldn't get him. And then they made JJ McCarthy so like desirable now. The Patriots, I think, are trying to play the game and they're going to play themselves into the wrong game because the Vikings are like, take JJ McCarthy. Like, we're not giving you 11 and 23. That's my opinion. I could be completely wrong because don't community notes my show, people. I could be completely wrong. But I don't think they're going to take that pick because they maybe just want Drake May and they've made JJ McCarthy so desirable that the Patriots fell in love with him. And then they're gonna play that game of like, well, if you want JJ McCarthy, you got to give us the 11 and 23. And the Vikings are like, no, draft JJ McCarthy. And then if the Patriots, I mean, it's basically, I think they're playing poker or chicken. If the Patriots have to draft JJ McCarthy and they don't, then their cards are shown on the table. This whole time they were playing this game to get the pick, and maybe they go get Drake May, and now the Vikings can still get JJ McCarthy at 11. And that's why I feel like the Vikings are kind of in a position to say, because who after the Patriots would take May or McCarthy? Do we know? I haven't looked at that. Is there another team?
Giants at 6.
So are we sure they're done with Daniel Jones? Like, have they?
We're not sure. I mean, that's a team that's, talked a lot of, some people have reported that they trade out.
Yep.
Some people have said they trade up. Some people have said they'll stay put. There's too many rumors, Ron, to keep track of. But are you a little nervous of the Vikings trading up to 3 and then having to choose between McCarthy and May? Like,
I am.
Because don't you hate the game of comparing guys? Like, okay, someone goes here, one of them has a great career, and the other team is left with regret forever.
Look at this. Look at the Panthers.
I'm afraid. Exactly. Yeah. Stroud versus Young. I'm afraid of the Vikings being in that spot and making the wrong choice. That's what gives me anxiety.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I am. Because if you think about CJ Stroud to the Panthers with Adam Thielen, they're going to have some early picks. Like, they could have been probably a solid team. Like, you look at that team and how they were constructed at first, could have been a solid team. And now they are hoping Bryce Young has a great sophomore season. Because if not, 2 years from now, they're going to be like, all right, we got to trade him, or we're going to give him a 5th-year option as a backup, and then we'll just let him go and try to be a free agent for somebody. He's just too. I don't know if he's just too small. It feels like he's too small. It feels like he's too small, and that offense isn't built for him. It was built Frank Wright, which I have no idea. And maybe that's why Frank Wright got fired so quick. Like, I just don't feel like that's who Frank Wright wanted, and I feel like maybe that's who the owner wanted. And I don't know if that was the story. I don't remember the story behind that, but I feel like Frank Wright wanted maybe like an Anthony Richardson or a CJ Stroud because he likes the bigger, like Andrew Lucks and the Peyton Mannings. That's who Frank Wright has been around. He's been around Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. Like, why all of a sudden would he think Bryce Young is the guy? I think he wanted CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson. I just don't know if the ownership wanted that. And maybe that's part of the problem why he got fired. Maybe that's part of the problem why, because even when he got Bryce Young, he was saying Sam Darnold was the starter. Like, he was reluctant to give Bryce Young the reign. Like, it just never felt like Frank Wright wanted Bryce Young. It didn't. It didn't feel like he wanted him, and it didn't feel like they were set up for success with him. And so that's where I'm worried about. And you are right. If they jump and they go get this guy, and then we look back and we're like, we could have had the other one.
Yeah.
That's where people are always going to like, that could be, but I hope it could be a Justin Jefferson, Jalen Reagor situation. The Eagles were put in that position and they made the wrong pick. Hopefully the Patriots are put in this position and they make the wrong pick. The other one, and we can talk about this on Friday, like if you're the Vikings, would you take Daniel Jones? Like, he's not better than Kirk Cousins, and what he wants money-wise, I say no, but I don't know. Like,
getting money-wise, like they're $40 million a year,
right?
For Daniel Jones, yeah.
And that's why I don't see the Giants. That would make no sense to have a $40 million backup. Like, unless you're looking for a trade partner for him on draft day.
Right.
I just don't. And what team would trade for him? The Panthers, maybe? Like, would the Panthers say, look, Bryce Young is not it. Let's go get Daniel Jones at least? Like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know who would trade for him. Like, would the Patriots trade with the Giants? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Does Sean Payton think he can turn Daniel Jones into his next Drew Brees or his next project?
because where's Sean Payton at? Denver? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe. Does Denver trade with them? Because, I mean, they got rid of Russell Wilson and they don't. Because what pick do they have? Do they have a high pick?
They have 12, and they also have no money.
Right.
They're paying it all to Russell.
So that's funny, too. They're paying a quarterback that's not even paying for them. Yeah, so at 12, they are kind of stuck, too, waiting to see who everybody else is going to take. And I think that's I mean, they're in the Bo Nix category, I'm guessing, at 12. Yeah. Like that's why a guy like Bo Nix is probably excited how many teams need quarterbacks, because he's like in a different year, he's second, third round for sure. This year, he probably could be first round and early, depending on what all these teams do. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting first 5 picks for sure, because that's going to tell us everything we need to know about the Vikings, because then 6 is the Giants. And I'd say first 6 picks. So the Giants don't get, because who after the Giants needs a quarterback?
After the Giants, I think there's a pretty good drop off from there until the Vikings.
That's what I thought. And so I feel like if the Giants don't do it, then Drake May or JJ McCarthy is theirs and they didn't have to do anything. So that's what it comes down to. It comes down to if the Giants are willing to kind of tell the Vikings what they're going to do, or the Giants going to play that game and say, hey, give us 11. We'll give you 6. The Vikings are like, man, we're not giving you 23, but maybe we'll give you couple third rounders or something. I don't know. Like, or 2024. Maybe they give them the pick. They just got that second round pick back from, or no. Yeah. Didn't they just get a pick back from the Texans or something? Or did somebody?
The Vikings gave up their second to the Texans, so they don't have a second or a third.
And the Texans gave that to the Bills, right?
Yep.
For Stephon Diggs. Okay. So it's the same pick. It's the Vikings pick, basically. So they don't have a second or a third. Yeah. So that's tough. That's tough, because then you have to leverage your future basically in this draft to say, hey, we'll give you our 2025 or 2026. Like you have to leverage some future stuff and then hope you can get it back. Or do you take 23 and go find you 2 second round picks with the team? And that's some of the draft scenarios we'll talk about on Friday. I think that's one question we need to hit Friday, but that'll do it for us today on the Ron Johnson Show. In the end, again, Sam, nobody knows this draft. I'm looking forward to it though, but we'll hit on that Friday. I think everybody should come with their best draft scenario for 23 for the Vikings and see what we all come up with. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. You can find us 24/7 on YouTube. Just make sure you go to the YouTube stream, search Locked On Sports Minnesota, and subscribe. You just need an email address, and you'll get every time a show loads, you'll see it, but you can jump on our channel as well. 24/7 hour, 24/7 a day. There's sports going. There's talk. There's a Ron Johnson Show, the basketball party, Locked On Sports Minnesota's postcast. Make sure you check those out after every Twins, Vikings, Wild, and Wolves game. We're going to have team hosts as well as analysts breaking down all the best. And the Twins aren't doing well, but the Tigers are. So we'll see what happens when that series comes to town. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. Thank you guys. Have a great week.